Hello and welcome to Geek to Movies. We are back. This is our first big review of 2021. We're back at the movies, exit the theater, and I gotta say, I'm gonna throw this. I'm just doing a little intro for us, but I'm gonna throw it over to Shannon real quickly. But I gotta say, you guys, I am so glad I didn't see Mulan, live action Mulan, in theaters, because this movie was totally worth it.
That's what I was gonna say. This is the live action Mulan. This is what it should have been, and this is the movie we deserved.
Yeah, and you know, I really did love it. I thought it was a mix of like Avatar: The Last Airbender, who's now doing, of course, Star Wars, which is awesome, Mandalorian. But he, you know, I could see the flavor of that. I saw flavors of anime here and there. I saw flavors of like the animated Mulan. It's like they kind of took aspects of different movies and like genres, and they kind of mixed it to be like Disney. And for me, that was awesome. By far the funniest movie I've seen from Disney since Emperor's New Groove.
You were dying.
Oh God, I freaking loved this movie. I stopped caring about the story. I was looking forward to the next joke setup. And Awkwafina, she can do no wrong. I don't care if she's in, what did we see? The last movie I saw with her was with The Rock and the game, and they go into the game. Jumanji 2.
Oh yeah.
She was, Awkwafina was in that, and she was awesome. Crazy Rich Asians. I just think she is so funny, and I won't tell her what she plays, but she's so good in this movie. I loved everything about it. I really appreciated the animation, the story. Oh God, I wish I could just like put a warm blanket over myself and just rewatch this movie all over again. All right, Shannon,
you actually can.
Here's a warm blanket, and there's the theater. See you in 2 hours. Yeah, so I've been jokingly calling this Raya the Last Airbender for the last 6 months.
You're not
and
wrong.
It's called Raya and the Last Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
But when the movie begins, they're basically like earth, water, air, fire, when they describe like all the different places they're gonna go throughout the movie.
I mean, it's one of those things you have to remember, like that is really part of a lot of those Asian countries and culture.
Yeah. The elemental.
Where's the fifth element?
Earth?
Oh yeah, that's Elsa. Elsa's the fifth element.
No, the Fifth Element, the movie.
Oh, I'm thinking.
I didn't know what you're talking about, like Earth. I don't know what the fifth element is.
Well, one thing that I kept thinking as I was watching this movie, you know how they called Tangled because people, you know, their hair got tangled and people got frozen, so they called it Frozen. Well, in this movie, people turned to stone, so they could have called it Stoned.
Oh my God. And released it on April 20th.
Yes! They could have called the movie Stoned. From the people that brought you Tangled and Frozen, it's Stoned.
I actually kind of like that. I hope Disney is watching this just so they can be like, hey, that's a good idea. We should make the movie Stoned.
It's a little chuckle for all the adults. The kids wouldn't get it. But,
or they might.
Yeah, the movie was great. Like, it's really pretty to look at. The nice thing about doing elementals, where it's earth, water, air, fire, and there's like a fifth something in this
I saw water. I definitely saw earth.
Yeah.
But it kind of one is shape-shifting.
I was thinking like the kingdoms. Like one kingdom was clearly
okay, I see what you're saying.
Water. Another was clearly earth. I don't know what the white and gold kingdom was.
Thing.
Genius.
Yeah, it was all beautiful though. Like it's not quite Avatar, but it feels like it could take place in that same world, just like on a different island or something in that world.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. I think Avatar has its own like culture and mythology already set up.
It does.
But I feel like there is elements that they kind of like you know, they're saying like, hey, like we're gonna just kind of keep, without being on the nose, it's reminded you of different things. For me, it was like anime, it was Mulan, you know, but it has its own story.
A strong anime feel to it.
Yeah.
You just mentioned elements. Not sure.
The fifth element. Yeah, so like a lot of the story beats in this were pretty predictable, but I didn't care at any point that I knew what was going to happen. I kept shouting to Fahad and George. I'd be like, they're going to die, and they're going to do this, and every single time I was like dead on. So this is one of the best intros to a movie I've ever seen. Yeah. Like, from the beginning of the movie, from the start of the movie to the first like 10 minutes in, where they set up this whole world and they set up the characters, it was spot on. I was completely involved and sold on this movie. And then for me, as soon as the dragon was there, I was out of the movie. I was like, it could have been a really cool, serious adult movie, and now all
Wait, what? No.
And now all the little kids, when the little kid stuff started happening, that's what took me out of the movie. It's still really good, and I would watch it again, but I think that it would have been a stronger movie, although it wouldn't have been as good for kids. It would have been more of an adult movie without
so weird. I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a little bit of silliness, and I think the baby character could have been completely taken out of this movie. I couldn't stand the 3 monkeys and the baby.
What? They were my favorite, and the dragon.
They were the comedic relief.
I
know.
Couldn't stand them. I always hate the minions. I always hate. Anytime I see
it is not Minions bad, because I freaking hate Despicable Me and all those movies.
I hate the Minions so much.
What?
So I would not.
It was not as distracting as the Minions.
No, not
I
even
think
close.
That it didn't add much for me.
And really, it was just like set up to jokes. They were not even talking. They were just really doing.
So glad they didn't talk.
But they were just doing funny stuff. They with their.
And Raya's sidekick, the little roly-poly guy, is so adorable.
Yeah.
I wish he had more screen time instead of the monkeys or whatever.
He was
I
grown
want
up.
one of those toys.
What are you talking about?
He would have taken up most of the
I
screen.
know, they should have kept them small. I mean, this is how I would have written the movie.
No, I think me and George both just like, no.
Well, let's hear you.
Yeah, just keep going.
Okay, well, I'm glad you guys liked them. So
I loved this
comment
movie.
below and let us know what you think. Alright, so I enjoy seeing these really strong female characters.
Yeah.
I'm not a diehard for it. I don't need it to be only strong female characters in a movie, but when you see something like this, like Frozen, that has a character who does it all on her own, and she's just a badass female, you're like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. I want to see more of it.
And there's no growth because she's just a superpower walking around. And I'm talking about Mulan.
Oh, I was gonna say
live
there's
action
growth
Mulan.
in this movie.
No, I'm saying this was better than the live action Mulan.
Yes.
Because in live action Mulan, the first scene is of her being 6, and she can fall off roofs and do amazing,
no character growth.
Yeah, because you just stole it.
The message at the end of this is something that I don't think I've seen in a kids movie ever.
Yeah.
The message at the end of this, I won't give any spoilers away, but the morals that they teach by the end, I was like, yeah, this is what kids need to see. This is what I need to see. I haven't seen it in a movie that I can think of.
Well, I think we're ready for spoiler review, so we'll just stop you there. Go see it. Don't go. No. Finish your thoughts. Go see it. Don't go see it. What are you feeling on this one?
Yeah, definitely go see this one. Take your kids. Everybody in the family will love it.
Awesome, George.
This was an absolutely awesome Disney movie, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think kids will absolutely love it. I think adults will have issues with this. And one of the it's not quite as I'm a little too used to Pixar movies where, you know, like they teach you something that you can keep and like sort of live by. This I wish. Let me just say I wish.
They had a good lesson in it.
They had a good lesson.
It's because you've been watching animes for a month straight, so you're kind of comparing it to. Because anime is very adult most of the time. I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I think your world is kind of stuck in anime right now.
It was a little too fluffed up. I'll just put it that way. It was kind of fluffed up at the very end.
Yeah.
Not that it was a bad thing, because honestly, I loved how beautiful everything was.
Yeah.
It just felt fluffed up. Once again, yes, I am watching a bunch of anime recently, so like I'm used to actual character arcs and like absolutely phenomenal characters.
I agree with that.
So,
but I think it's a little unfair for comparing like anime to Disney, because Disney doesn't do anime like storytelling. They don't do adult. The most adult Americans, no, not even then.
Pixar does adult morals. This was not adult morals.
Pixar does very adult morals.
I see what you're saying.
This is kid morals.
Okay. Yeah, which is honestly
fine.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm really glad the message they had. It's a message I think everybody needs right now.
Right. Absolutely.
And I was absolutely glad to see that in a movie, and it was awesome. I loved it. I would definitely, like, if you get the chance, please go see this in theaters. See it. If you can't go to theaters, then see it at home. Like, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it to watch.
Yeah. I would say go see it in theaters, though. I'm just gonna be honest.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, there are people who can't go to theaters.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, if people had the opportunity.
Yeah, if you have the opportunity, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, you cannot beat the experience of in theater. And, like, we just came out of Dolby, which is my favorite, like, thing to watch anything in.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. This is my first movie back in Dolby since before the pandemic.
Okay.
So this was huge for me. Mm-hmm. And wow,
I couldn't fall asleep. I couldn't fall asleep last night because I was so excited. I mean, it has. I mean, literally, we saw Weathering with You and Bad Boys for Life in March last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was at this exact same spot we did the review because we did back to back. We did Bad Boys. We came out, we did a review for Bad Boys, and then we did Weathering with You, and or was it the other way? I can't remember. But we saw both movies.
We did Bad Boys first.
Okay.
You, I remember because it was really, really late.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I just remember thinking, like, that was the last big movie we saw in theaters. We did go to some Ben Affleck one with the basketball coach and the drinking, and then you guys went to go see I Spy, but they were
You mean
okay.
My Spy?
Excuse me, yes. Whatever it was called. They were okay. They weren't like something that, like, Weathering with You and Bad Boys felt like big movies.
You had to go see them.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't believe it's been 1 year to this date when we, like, did an exit theater review at AMC at that time, all three of us.
Yeah.
I think literally it's been that long. Tenet doesn't count because it was, like, in Ohio. If there's
That's
any
very
true. To ever drive to Ohio.
It's to watch Tenet.
Pretty much.
When everything else is shut down.
So,
the only reason.
So, just so it doesn't go too long, but so high recommendation from you too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I would definitely say to watch this. Watch it if you can in theaters. If you can't, then watch it at home. Just watch it. Whatever you can do, watch it.
All right. So, thanks guys for doing your review. I mean, everything they've said, they've already hit the points on. I'll go in a little bit of a different direction. So I looked up the fairy tale that this movie is based on. I think it's. I was kind of sleepy. I was sleeping last. I was really sleepy when I was, like, trying to find it. But Raya and the Last Dragon is a true mythology story. Like, Disney's really good at taking fairy tales and, like, kind of, like, mystical, and they're really dark most of the time, as you know. Like, don't ever look up Pinocchio or, like, any of those.
Oh my gosh, no.
Cinderella.
Oh, Cinderella's actually not a bad one, thankfully.
Two stepsisters get their feet cut off so they can fit the shoe at the end.
Okay, so maybe we haven't heard that one.
Okay, I haven't heard that part. That's crazy. But I did look up a little bit because I was so excited to see it, and I was like, why the heck is this getting higher critics rating from critics than Soul? Soul is at 95. This thing's sitting at 97. So I was like, there's more going on here because it can't be that good. I mean, I hadn't seen it at the time. I was just making my own, kind of like trying to figure it out because I was texting these guys. Oh my God, this thing's higher than Soul. I think I texted that last night.
Yes, you did.
Okay. So I looked it up, and it's based on a real Asian mythology. I don't know if it's from. They don't actually know where it came from. Some say it's Vietnam. Some say it's Korea. Others say China. It's just kind of like everywhere. But the whole point of the movie is, like, the Asian countries thousands of years ago actually got along really well. But then over time, like, they started splitting. So Korea became Korea, Vietnam became Vietnam, China became Japan, Japan became Japan, vice versa. You know, the list goes on. Thailand, whatever.
Korea became North and South Korea.
Okay, anyways.
That's history. That's how it goes everywhere.
Yeah, so the story is really about, you know, how the dragons disappeared and this girl turned to stone because she wanted to prove to the people that, you know, the mythology is dragons, but really the story is more about this girl saying, hey, like, we're all one people. It's cool that you're sitting over there in Vietnam having your seafood or whatever, and you're sitting in China doing something else, but at the end of the day, we all belong to this earth, and we're all one, no matter what our differences. So, like, and then I think she, if I don't do not do not quote me on this because I can't remember the ending. But she becomes stone and the dragons come back. And then the people realize this girl basically was trying to bring Asia together. It's very fascinating, very cool stuff. Very on the nose with the fairy tale and what happened in this movie because really they really do a fictional version of these countries that exist, and they're kind of split off and they don't trust each other, and they all kind of carry this like message of like, oh no, we need power to make sure though they don't get power and they take it from us, and then the mistrust kind of grows and the countries become more and more untrustworthy, and as you know, China invades Japan, Japan invades China, and all those countries just eventually start fighting each other and trying to gain power, and like, Genghis Khan comes into the picture, and you know how that goes. He basically tries to basically rule the world and, take over China, Asia, Middle East, all those countries. So yeah, I mean, oh, you know what? I never thought about that. Did they use Khan from Star Trek from Genghis Khan?
Probably.
You gotta look that up later. Anyways, I'm glad I looked that up because I think for me the movie started making more and more sense with the mythology of this story because it's really well done. Yeah. It's respectful. Kids get a great lesson. I'm a 30-year-old and I was dying. So I don't know why you guys said like adults won't like this. I can't wait to watch this again with my wife. Like I thought it was great.
I just think it's aimed at kids, but it's good.
Yeah. I think even Pixar is aimed at kids. I just think so. I mean, like every Disney movie Pixar aims at children.
All ages, more so than Disney.
But at the end of the day, it's still for kids. Kids can watch Disney and Pixar at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all ages.
But this is also all ages. I don't think kids will pick up with the deep meaning of what they were trying to say in this movie. I think they're going to be like, funny dragon, cute girl, and their little, what is it called?
Kids pick up on that stuff, though.
They do.
They're smarter than you give them credit for.
I don't think so.
They will.
Because I remember...
Just like that baby.
I remember watching, what's that robot movie?
Big Hero 6?
No, the really old one from the 90s. And Vin Diesel plays the robot.
Oh, Iron Giant.
Iron Giant.
Oh, yeah.
I remember just watching that movie, or like Lilo and Stitch. I remember watching these movies and not picking up on the adult themes. But then 20 years later, sitting down and be like, wow, this is about a family that's divorced. And the sister, like in Lilo and Stitch, the sister's trying to take care of her. And like she's a bad sister. She doesn't, but really it was Lilo that was really the bad person, and Stitch, and she was just trying to survive. But I was just like, why is this big sister like being mean to I didn't pick up on that stuff when I was a kid.
Right.
But I'm watching it later, I'm like, oh, there's more going on here than I thought. I think this movie is one of those movies that kids watch it, like when you're 6 or 8, you're probably not gonna feel those deep meanings of countries coming together and being one.
But you might in your tweens.
Yeah,
maybe. Okay,
but
that's
12-year-olds, the 13-year-olds watching that stuff
I'm
is
literally
subconscious
just
too.
Yeah, but I'm talking about 6, 8, 5-year-olds who watch this because it is
a lot of that stuff is subconscious.
That's what Trolls is for.
Right. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I appreciated those movies like Lilo and Stitch and like what was the robot one again? The Iron Giant.
You appreciated them more as an adult.
Yeah, than I did as a kid. And I think this movie, even though there's a certain, like you said, I mean, like sure, 13, 14-year-olds are probably gonna start picking up more of those messages. But I think anyone under 10, probably not, or under 12, maybe even probably not. But other than that, I just think the movie is really funny. The animation is beautiful. The clothes and how each like country and its people were designed is very unique to the story and how they relate to one another. They also kind of do a really good representation of these two girls who are meant to be friends, but yet because of the mistrust and the things happening in the world, they end up becoming enemies. But they actually have more in common than they do not in common. You know what I'm saying? And like, you could feel that in the movie throughout the story. Before I go more into that, I just want to say go see it before we do our spoiler review. This is our spoiler and non-spoiler discussion. So now's your chance to go turn on Disney Plus, watch it, and come back. I think having those two girls being from two very different countries, having their own culture, who are meant to be friends, and they realize they have more in common, in the world, and it doesn't really matter what the world says, is so powerful to me. You know, we're all from different aspects. Well, me definitely from these two, I would say. But like, you know, we have a lot in common. But if I lived in Pakistan and never came to America, or these guys we never met each other, we probably wouldn't know how much in common we have. And I think that's a great story to tell. And I think it's done in such a way where it's kind of like, hey, like, do you have that girl who, like, you fight with, or, like, boy in school in kindergarten who you don't get along with? You know, maybe if you put yourself and, like, try to think on how to become friends with that person, you'd realize you have more in common. That's a really, really great story. And I think that message is very powerful, and it's done so well in this movie that I can't help but, like, appreciate, like, it could have been so corny. And there were moments where I was worried it could have been really corny. And yeah, a little bit of corniness, but not enough to, like, really pull me out.
Yeah.
Like,
That's true.
And there are emotional moments that do hit. Like, I knew where the movie was going. I'm like, oh, they're all going to come together. They're going to realize they're all idiots. And, like, the dragon's going to save them. And these two girls who hate each other now are going to become friends.
It hits every beat you think it's going to hit.
But yet, at the same time, tons of really cool, interesting story.
Yeah.
Even though it's hitting the same beats.
Yeah.
You can take different aspects of different movies and tell the same story in a very unique way. And I love that. And I did not see that coming. Like, in my mind, when I was seeing the previews for this, and I can't speak on you guys, I thought there was going to be this moment where, like, after halfway point, she's going to release the dragon. Like, the dragon comes in, like, the first 10 minutes, and I'm just like, whoa, like, this is... And the dragon is not what the trailers gave. Like, there isn't this powerful, mystical, all-knowing god dragon. It's a...
That's what I wanted.
Really? Because I really appreciated movie more... Because I've seen all that so many times, over and over again. I want a story where the god or the dragon is relatable to, like, and is just like one of, you know, he's just one of those people. Like, hey, I'm a dragon. I know you think I'm some mystical, amazing, great thing. It's like Mushu, right?
Yeah.
But Mushu was not considered a god. This dragon was.
Speaking of which, she did the Mushu tail hold right at the start, too.
I loved that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was called Tail. Did you see that? The first chapter after the montage of, like, the prequel setup of, like, them being kids, it was called Tail first. And I realized Fang, Tail, everything was spine,
dragon, yeah.
pieces of the dragon.
I thought
That's so freaking cool.
Was it Tail? Because I thought that was Talon.
No. That was Tail.
Spine,
oh, trust me. I wrote it
tail.
down on my phone, so I didn't forget. Because I was like,
There was
oh,
a
Tail.
Talon, too.
Was it? I didn't remember that part.
Talon, Fang, Spine,
Heart,
and Tail was the 5.
What's Talon? What does that mean?
Claw.
But that's the Fang.
No, that's not a
Fang
Fang.
is 2.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. But yeah, I mean, there's just, like, you know, it's kind of like they're holding on to a different part of the dragon in their respective countries, but it's one dragon, and even the water and how it looked and shaped, it was one. And I mean, there's some really cool, interesting things they did in this movie artistically that I thought were really cool, you know, and then how, like, you know, she doesn't trust anybody in the beginning of the movie, and she continues to...
Relatable.
Yeah, like, I think it's really good message today for everyone, I think. And it talks about, like, hey, like, maybe you should put your guard down and just go, you know, give them a chance. And the dragon keeps saying that over and over again. And yeah, there were points where the dragon didn't realize how, like, messed up the world was, but, like, you know, she needed to learn that lesson. Just don't go blindly trusting anyone. But at the same time, don't shut everyone out either at the same time. And I think that's great. I think having those type of stories, to being like, okay, let's not be stupid. If you see somebody who's going to be violent or do something wrong, maybe don't just, like, blindly go trust those people. But at the same time, don't judge everyone like that either, and still try to give people a shot. I think there's a better message there, and this movie and Disney does it really well.
A shot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she died. No.
Oh! You're talking about the dragon, yeah.
It was really interesting that what she's hurt by is trusting someone and giving them a gift. Somebody gives her a gift and then betrays her. So she becomes very jaded, no pun intended, and guarded, and she doesn't want to give trust to anyone else. And then that becomes the lesson that she learns, is how to find balance in that. That was pretty clever writing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I also loved... Okay, there was this really cool action sequence that happens in the end where, like, the main protagonist blames the bad girl about her killing the dragon, but then when they have this big battle, it's like, the dragon told me to trust it, but because you shot your stupid sword at me, my arrow went off and shot the dragon. And she's like, you're both to blame for what has happened.
Yeah.
You can kill me or do whatever you want at the end of the day, but don't for a second think you aren't part of this. And then she kind of looks herself in the sword, kind of like look in the mirror kind of a situation.
Just like her dad did, actually, at the very start.
Yeah.
When he saw her, like, and that's when he tried to back down, he was looking...
At the sword.
He was looking at the sword, and he saw the reflection of her there, standing ready.
Ooh, you just gave me goosebumps because I totally forgot about that.
That was really good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That first 20 minutes of this movie is like amazing.
I think the whole movie is amazing.
It is.
It is. The first 20 minutes pre-Dragon, oh my gosh. I wish the whole movie could have been that.
It was
really good.
That. What are you talking about?
The dragon kind of brought things down for me. That's all.
How do you not like Aquafina? She is like...
I love Aquafina.
It's like Eddie Murphy as Mushu. Like, I mean...
I think I was in the mood for a more serious movie today.
You can't go into a Disney movie and say serious. That's Midsummer for me.
I mean, even Frozen's more serious.
No, Frozen was not serious.
It set it up
as
being a serious movie.
It did set it up as being a serious movie. That's what I was expecting. But you know it's Disney.
Yeah, like they do that Mulan trailer.
Right.
A lot of these movies do set it up as really more serious, but then they're not because it's Disney. They can't go that serious. And America doesn't have like Japan does and Asia does. They have anime, and anime is made for 100% 18-year-old or adults too. At the same time, they can also do kids.
Weathering with Me was so good.
With you.
Weathering with You. It was so good.
Are you sure it was good? Because you forgot the title.
Well, it was over a year ago. But, oh my gosh, yeah.
But, you know, I think... Oh, God, it's getting hot. Sorry. I think having, like, this... Like, what Aquafina accomplished in this movie was a really tough sell, because she is still the savior of the world. But yet, she has to be relatable.
Oh, she reminds me a lot of the genie in Aladdin.
Yeah, but Genie didn't save the world. This dragon literally could save the world.
The genie was like a super powerful being, but then
but didn't really... Yeah, like, it wasn't riding on the genie to save the world. It was riding on Aladdin.
Right.
The funny part about this is that like, she even mentions it at the start. She basically was in a group project and did the one thing that the rest of them couldn't do, and that was it. And so she got all the credit.
So funny. Yeah.
That was good, and that's exactly what she does again. She just like, hey, you know, maybe you should try this, and then she dies, and then they have to try it, and it works.
Yeah.
So it's kind of another situation where she doesn't necessarily save the world. She just gave some advice and it saved the world.
Yeah, you're right.
And it reminds me a lot of... we're playing this game called Genshin Impact. It's really popular now.
Barbados.
They're obsessed with
Venti,
Barbados, Zhongli, Zhao.
They named a world after Starbucks. Venti.
No, he was large before them. No.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that was so R-rated. Oh my gosh.
What I was gonna say was there is this thing about Asians worshiping these god-like beings, but those god-like beings being more like, yeah, we're like just like you. We make mistakes. We're not perfect. We're not actually gods, even though you call us gods.
Okay.
It's kind of a repetitive thing.
Sounds like Greek mythology.
Yeah.
Avatar: The Last Airbender did the same thing. Aang's like, I'm just a kid. I don't.
Greek mythology. They don't own up to the fact that they're just like
humans.
They
pretend to be.
They're like, oh, we're still amazing.
Right.
Oh, come on.
No, you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But like, you know, in Asian culture, it's a lot like, yeah, they have gods, but they're not really like lowercase gods. They're like,
they're more like saints?
Because saints don't have powers. These gods do. These gods can literally...
Have, like, healing abilities.
Yeah, but they don't have
like
magical, world-destroying... level earthquake.
These
that
are
can,
like,
you know,
yeah, these are like, they don't necessarily know how to control them.
Okay.
They just know they got stuff.
And most of their storylines in Asian mythology is like, yeah, I really wanted to be a god, but I messed up so badly. Like, I'm out. Like, I've just kind of been roaming the earth
It's
for a
tough
while.
to be a god, but when you get the people's nod.
Where's that from?
That's from The Road to El Dorado.
Yeah, it's so good. It's such a good song.
Okay.
It's
It's
tough
a
to
super
be
good
a
movie.
god.
No, I just remember the song.
The song is great.
I think, like, in the Asian culture, it's kind of like, yeah, I was trying to be a god, and then I messed up really badly. All these people died, and I didn't do a really good job, so I've just been kind of roaming the earth in human form, pretending I'm not a god. I'm just kind of doing my own thing. You know, that's like an ongoing thing. Like, I think that's what you were probably picking up at the dragon, because that is their culture. Like, the dragon is a dragon, and they respect the dragon, and they worship these dragons, but they're not really, like, they have powers, but they're not gods per se. You know what I'm saying?
They're not a know-it-all, do-it-all.
Yeah, like, more like you were saying, like, Greek is more like know-it-all, do-it-all, but at the same time, when they mess up, they don't own up to it. While most Asian gods or culture in their culture, most gods are like, yeah, like, I was like a war tyrant and millions of people died, and then
they couldn't do it all.
What I'm saying is they still
knew it
wanted
all.
people to worship them, like,
yeah.
force them to. Like, Zeus was like, you better just, you know, shut your pie hole and just call me God anyway, no matter what I do. But like in mythology and Asian, it's kind of like, yeah, that's like, there are gods that did want that, but most of the time they got 1 million people killed and destroyed a city and did horrible stuff, and then they were like, yeah, I'm not going back to that life. I'm just gonna be very chill and not try to, like, be prideful and arrogant. And help if I can, but I'm not gonna put myself in a position where you have to worship me and don't come to me for answers, because most of the time I just want to be left alone. And that's really like what the story here in that Asian mythology kind of knocks into. Yeah, these dragons can do a lot of good, and they have a lot of power, and people do obviously worship them, as you can tell. But like at the same time, the dragons aren't like, you better worship. Like, I am the dragon of blah blah blah. You know, what was the dragon's name anyway? What was her name?
Something.
Sisu.
Yeah.
Sisu. Yeah, she's like, okay, like I'm not who you think I really am, but like, yeah, I did save the world, sure, but isn't it Tuesday? Like, you know, she doesn't realize like 500 years have gone by, and like her mind's getting blown. It's like, oh god, that's a lot of pressure. What do you mean I'm the last dragon? Like, she's like not all about.
She was a lot like the genie in Aladdin. She shapeshifts, she makes all the jokes, she's not really doing that much.
The genie was a lot more all-powerful, though.
Yeah, I think the genie was more powerful than her.
But nobody called the genie a god or worshipped him.
No, but they sought after him and asked for his help. It's kind of...
Yeah, but I mean, again,
it's
that's
similar. The way that she would shapeshift and make jokes, kind of.
Genie is a jinn in the Middle Eastern culture, and my family actually talks about it. My family didn't let me watch Aladdin actually for a long time.
I wasn't allowed either because there was a thief in it. I know.
Kill me. Okay, so
that was like the least worrisome thing of Aladdin was the thief.
I know.
Anyways, the genie is a jinn. A jinn is someone in the Middle Eastern culture that is basically a demon.
Yeah.
But in the Islamic Middle Eastern culture, a demon can also do good or bad. It's not like Christianity where like all demons are bad and all angels are good. Genies are, or jinns, sorry, I keep saying genie. Jinns aren't gods, they're just fallen creatures from heaven, and that's what genie is, and it kind of does relate to that. And, you know, even the idea of like enslaving a jinn, that did happen a lot, especially in my grandfather's time in India. They did trap and like capture a jinn and enslave them to use their powers. That's why the genie is trapped in the movie. It's a lot of Middle Eastern stuff where like, you know, like a witch doctor. A witch doctor could, in the Middle Eastern Indian culture, could trap a demon and force it to do its bidding, and says like, if you serve me well, I'll release you eventually. So a lot of that is what the genie is portraying. Very Disney-eyed, as they usually do, not as dark as Middle. Yeah, exactly.
Dark is the actual culture.
Yeah.
Regarding it, yeah.
But this feels more like a story of like, I mean, like they do a really good job. Like, you know, like somebody said, when you watch Frozen, this is a Norway mythology, like a Norway, like
there's trolls and there's
like, or not just Norway, but like I forgot the name, Slavic culture.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. What I was trying to say about this movie is they're not trying to be something else. They're just, every country for whatever reason has their own like culture and mythology and like fairy tale and folk tale that kind of you can capture. Moana did it beautifully. Another one that was set in the Caribbean and those islands and like all that stuff.
Caribbean? No, that was like
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Yeah.
Was it Hawaii? Okay.
Yeah.
Islands. That's from my mind because they are islands. Hawaii. But no, you're right. It's probably the Hawaiian culture that they used. So yeah, I think you'll get a lot out of it. I do think adults will appreciate it more. I do think kids at a certain age will not pick up everything, but have a great time. But then maybe they'll revisit and then have a great time. So that's our final review. Do you guys have anything to say before we log off?
No, not
Go
really.
see it.
Go see it. Look out for our next review, Chaos Walking, this next week. Next week we'll be doing that. And we'll do another Exit the Theater review for that. Alright guys, take care. Bye.
Bye.